Some superpowers are just too much for some to handle. The full potential of some superpowered individuals threatens to be earth-shattering, and could have massive implications on humanity and beyond if they were to let their powers reign free. So today we are taking a look at some of the superheroes who use their better judgment on that front, or simply have been hindered in a way that prevents them from using their full potential, with our list of the top 10 superheroes who hold back their powers. In at number 10, Franklin Richards. Franklin Richards is an Omega level mutant who has depicted vast reality manipulation abilities. He's capable of manipulating matter and energy, projecting energy, creating incredibly detailed pocket universes, and a whole array of psionic abilities. For his age, the kid is wickedly strong, and he's potentially the most powerful being in existence. The reason Franklin Richards doesn't rank higher on our list though is because of his inexperience, which arguably is a factor holding him back, if you're looking at the main 616 version of the character. That being said, looking to his older self from Earth 4280, we know that his vast powers only continue to excel with age. He literally destroys 2 Celestials, then hangs out with Galactus, noting that the two of them will witness the beginning of a new universe together billions of years from now. Meaning, kid is immortal. Moving on to number 9, Iceman. Iceman Bobby Drake is a curious case. For starters, this early initial member of the X-Men had a much more limited range of powers back when he was first introduced. For the most part, it consisted of him being able to turn his body into an ice form and then freeze the air around him in order to make ice constructs. But in the following years, he got a serious power upgrade. Emma Frost would eventually take over his body, real briefly, unlocking a variety of different skills his powers entailed, all ones that Bobby had never pulled off himself, dropping him into Omega level territory. He would ask Emma to train him, but she refused. Overall, he is a case of a character who hasn't really applied himself, which is him holding himself back. He also held himself back because of other insecurities too, including his sexuality, something that was dabbled in more recent comics. Moving on to number 8, Gladiator. Gladiator's potency of abilities is dictated by his levels of confidence. So let's backtrack. Gladiator, aka Clark, first appeared in the comics in X-Men issue 107 from 1977, an analog to Superboy and an homage to Philip Wiley's novel Gladiator, which was written in 1930, and DC's Superman was also partially based off of that. Fun fact, Clark is actually a combination of Kal-El and Clark Kent. And his powers? Well, get ready for an impressive list here. He has superhuman strength, speed, stamina, agility, reflexes, and durability. Flight, psionic abilities. He is strong enough to shatter a planet, capable of withstanding heat emitted from the Phoenix Force, has heat vision hotter than a star, and his warp speed flight allows him to move 100 times the speed of light, moving across galaxies before Heimdall could even blink in Mighty Thor issue 15 from 2016. But all of that is moot depending on his confidence levels. His powers decrease or increase based on his confidence and self-esteem, meaning he is technically his own worst enemy. In at number 7, Zatanna. Zatanna is yet another character held back by her confidence levels. The difference between her and Gladiator though is that her lack of self-esteem has actually caused the character to completely depower herself in the past, and plays out as much more of an ongoing struggle in the comics. Zatanna is a magical superhero who inherited her gifts from her father, allowing her to not only cast spells but manipulate magic as well. If her self-confidence is weakened, her abilities become hindered. In the past, due to a series of mistakes that she had made, she became completely powerless for a time. And at 6, Captain Atom. Captain Atom is a case of a hero who is already quite powerful but is limited by his own fears that if he were to fulfill his full potential, he may lose his humanity. Talking Dr. Manhattan style here. So Captain Atom, in theory, has no limit to his powers. His abilities come from his atoms continuously splitting and reforming, which gives him an infinite amount of power, limited only by his willpower and his imagination. He can manipulate energy, is self-sustaining, has super strength that matches that of Superman's, and can travel faster than the speed of sound. If he absorbs too much energy at once though, he can be transported through time uncontrollably. Now his power source is linked to something called the strong nuclear force, which binds protons to the nucleus. His atoms can lose coherence if he uses too much power in a short space of time, but it is speculated that he'll be able to overcome this at some point, meaning only his own willpower to retain his humanity is what prevents him from further excelling. And at number 5, Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange generally has a very strong sense of what is right and what is wrong, and what he should meddle with and what he shouldn't. Often he finds himself practicing restraint in situations he'd dominate and solve much quicker if he were to intervene. Case in point, Civil War. The Watcher commented that Strange could have ended the conflict with a mere thought, implying that the Sorcerer Supreme has a whole lot more power than he's letting on. Instead, Strange went off to meditate in seclusion, letting Cap and Iron Man duke it out. There have also been times when Strange's hand was forced and he called upon powerful dark magic, like when he battled the Hulk post-Civil War, which caused him to lose the title of Sorcerer Supreme briefly. It just goes to show that Strange has the best interests of the Earth at heart, unwilling to use riskier and deadlier forms of magic he has at his disposal in order to get what needs to be done. In at number 4, Dr. Fate. Dr. Fate is not just one individual. The character who first debuted in More Fun Comics issue 55 back in 1940 is a long line of sorcerers, each who had come upon Nabu the Wise, a god who granted them their power along with the Helmet of Fate, a mystical artifact that transforms its host into a powerful master of magic. Those donning the Dr. Fate mantle are capable of spellcasting, flight, telekinesis, telepathy, pyrokinesis, superhuman strength, invulnerability, and lightning manipulation. But here's the kicker. Nabu calls the shots, to an extent. If Nabu doesn't agree with what the iteration of Fate is doing, Fate's powers can be limited. In the initial Dr. Fate's case, Ken Nelson, if he was separated from the helm, he is significantly weakened but not entirely depowered, which is another thing. That aside, if Dr. Fate were to go full-blown homicidal or use his near-limitless sorcery powers to wreak havoc, there's a good chance that Nabu would prevent him from causing too much damage. Up next at 3, Havoc. Havoc is Cyclops' brother, a mutant with cosmic energy absorption and plasma discharge abilities. The waves of plasma energy can emanate from his body in all directions unless he channels it purposefully in a single direction. Generally, he wears a special containment suit, often with an indicator on his chest depicting how much cosmic radiation he has absorbed, and how much he has left within his cells. The concentration that's required of Havoc in releasing his energy in focused beams can be exhausting, especially over an extended period. And that's exactly why he's on this list. If he weren't focusing and allowing his plasmic energy just to shoot out of his body without a direction, his impact would be much more destructive. His plasma wave discharges can superheat and disintegrate objects or beings. So really, it is for the best that he holds back and concentrates so no one accidentally ends up dead. And at number 2, Professor X. Professor Charles Xavier is one of the most noble characters in Marvel's roster. First appearing in the X-Men issue 1 in 1963, this exceptionally powerful telepath is one of the most powerful psychics in the Marvel Universe. He has often sacrificed his own desires for the betterment of mutant kind, constantly striving for the greater good by promising a peaceful coexistence between mutants and humans. But there have been a good number of times where Xavier's more repressed, darker emotions have been released from him, causing devastating effects. Specifically in 1996, the sentient psionic entity Onslaught was created from the merging of a darker aspect of Xavier and Magneto's consciousness. During a battle between the X-Men and Magneto and his acolytes, Xavier used his telepathic abilities to shut down Magneto's mind, making him catatonic. The darkest aspect of Magneto's mind emerged and escaped into Xavier's subconscious, taking hold of Xavier's repressed darker nature until it grew into a persona of its own. And finally, in at number 1, Sentry. Sentry, aka Robert Reynolds, has a slew of abilities that makes him one of the most powerful characters in Marvel's universe. Or multiverse rather. This includes superhuman strength, speed and stamina, a regenerative healing ability, molecular manipulation, matter manipulation, he's invulnerable, telepathic, can bend time, shapeshift, can become invisible, can astral project, and of course he is immortal. And there's more too that we've listed a zillion times on this channel. While the source of his powers has changed over the years, initially he got his abilities from a super soldier-esque serum that moves his molecules an instant ahead of the current timeline. But here's the kicker. Because of his powers, he's got an entity within him that's a dark side effect. The eroded humanity within Sentry known as the Void, who has his own set of dark powers that include infinity tendrils that attack a victim's mind, impaling them with traumatic visions of the past, present, and future. But now we come to his restriction. In order to prevent the Void from causing catastrophic damage, Sentry worked with Dr. Doom and Reed Richards to wipe out not only his own memory, but the memory of the hero and his evil half from the entire Marvel Universe as a means of protecting it. Those are some real drastic measures. Alright, there we have it friends. What other superheroes hold themselves back? Let us know in those comments below. If you guys dug this video, spread that love, hit that like button, and be sure to subscribe to Top 10 Nerd for more lists just like this one. In the meantime though, thanks for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.